Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel. Okay, no luck on the O-rings. I'm just going to do a quick inspection here if I can without totally disassembling this. Okay, that's... Okay. Stupid people doing stupid things. This is the second car coming out of China where they just can't assemble the shock absorbers properly. I don't understand. It's not that difficult. Ow. Those eyelets are really rough on your fingers when they've got the metal ball in there. Those pivot balls have sharp edges. Okay. Cap. Top seal. Spacer. There should be an O-ring first. O-ring. O-ring. These people are just pathetic. I'm sorry, this is just unbelievably stupid. You can't put an O-ring on top of an O-ring. They're supposed to be able to collapse a little bit, tightening around the shock shaft, creating a seal. When you have one on top of the other, they don't have a flat surface in between them, and so they don't deform correctly, and you don't get the proper effect. You want a seal, a spacer, a seal, and then the end cap. It's just not that hard, guys. I don't understand. I'm not going to bother with all the conditioning lube and everything else. I'm just going to put these together in the correct order and move forward with this kit. That kind of thing just irritates the out of me. It's just not that hard. Don't put seals one on top of the other. I was hoping these were half decent shocks. They are literally garbage. These seals are... I don't know if they're using a silicone fluid that is binding them, you know, making them swell. That's one of the reasons that you're supposed to, you know, use a conditioner on them. I am simply going to replace these with some standard O-rings I've got and move forward. Because when you put them in the correct order, it binds up on the shock shaft and the shock shaft barely moves. I'm just shaking my head here. Sorry, guys. Okay. So what we're going to do is, I've got the bleed screws out. I'm going to gently kind of slide the cap in place. I'm going to start threading it in, and then I'm going to lean the shock sideways and get all that air out and excess fluid. Let it just come bubbling out. I've got a little too much rebound going, so I'm going to back it out a little bit. I'm going to compress the shock. I'm going to be fine with some rebound on these, especially considering that the holes in the piston are so large it's really hard to get any pack going. The bleed caps, you almost don't need these screws, because once you've tightened the cap all the way down, the bladder is sealing the top with the cap. But it's probably a good idea to go ahead and put these back in anyway. You don't need to tighten them down hard, just let them be snug. They're not going to come out. Okay, so that's basically it. I'm going to make the rounds, and we're done here. So just got to put them back together and put them on the car. So car is pretty much back together. Just got to put the body back on, which is easy enough. Just gonna set it on top here, put in those front pins, just tuck that wire down for the moment, be plugging that in. And we've got our two spacers and our two screws. So we'll start with the first screw and the spacer. And before we put that in, we'll start with the second screw and spacer. And then slide those two spacers over the rear, that barrel there, and now we'll just tighten them in. And remember, it's plastic, it grabs the metal, you don't need to worry about Loctite, and you don't need to tighten these down because you want the body to move freely. Basically creating a hinge. And if we make it too tight, it won't open. There we go. So, check our plug for its orientation and plug it in. So, aside from plugging in a battery and putting the wheels back on, we are done. So, I'm going to go ahead and do the wheels. I just screwed the bolts in place because it was easier to not have to worry about where the hex pins were going to go on me. Didn't want those falling out during the process and didn't want to have them rolling around in a tray. I just tightened the bolts. A little extra effort, but it does make not having to worry about losing them easier. No, that's incorrect. That is rear left, front left, rear right, front right. See how those markings come in handy? Now, see how smooth that front diff action is? That's what we're looking for. And if your diffs are choppy, take it apart right away. And I would try spinning it without the wheels. If you can't twist it with your bare fingers, those diffs are bad and they need to be adjusted. Right rear. Sort out those tools in a few minutes, but might as well check this out. Great. Okay, let's put the battery back in. There we go. There we go. Ready to run. Got a decent amount of droop. Might want to jack the front a little more, just add a little preload here, but I'm going to start by giving it a run just as it is, see how it does, and we're off. But you know, having those diffs spin nice and smooth like that, that's a big difference, and I'm really glad. Just checking my dog bones here, everything clears the way it needs to. Okay, ready to rock and roll. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel.